With Axie Infinity Origin just days away, SLP's price has been running up from the hype of Axie Infinity Origins, but will this hype continue? In today's video, we're going to be going over the state of Axie Infinity and the future of SLP's price. So diving right into the SLP chart here, as you guys know, SLP was on a very steady decline, actually dropped under 1 cent. SLP then became kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes and skyrocketed to 4 cents, and then has slowly stabilized around 2 cents here. It has had some, ups and downs, but has been just stable around that 2 cent mark. Now this is all handy dandy and stuff, but the only reason for this actual price increase is just around the hype of Origin, which is supposed to release tomorrow. And with the arrival of Origins, it's actually just going into the alpha phase, so it's only for people that are on PC. So it's not even going to affect even 80% of the people playing the game, because the majority of Axie's players are actually on phones in developing countries like the Philippines and Brazil and other countries like that. So with that information, Axie Infinity is supposed to be adding burn mechanics in Origin. It's not going to be coming right away because it's just the alpha phase, but even with the burn mechanics, if they were added, it's only affecting a small percentage of the people in the game, because most people play on their phone and won't even be able to play Axie Infinity Origins yet. Now, if you guys know what this chart is, this is the Axie Infinity mint to burn ratio. Again, we saw a huge decrease in the actual minting of SLP back when they said that they are no longer giving SLP to people playing adventure mode. But the only problem here, as you can see, the burn rate has been dropping off. And, some days the mint to burn ratio is 100 minted for every 1 burned. Like here, you have 120,000 being burned and over 100 million being minted. That's just insanity. You can't even see the line anymore. You used to be able to see it a little bit, but now you can't even see it, which is a really bad sign. And even with all this extra minted effect into the economy, it hasn't even dropped down the price of SLP that much. Now, this could be for another factor as well. There was just recently a hack on the actual Katana DEX and the Ronin network, which stole a bunch of Ethereum as well as USDC. So it actually closed the Katana DEX, so you weren't able to swap your SLP for, or AXS or anything for any other token. You were locked on here. Binance actually closed off their ports and was only recently just opened, which is probably why we're seeing a lot of selling pressure as of lately. Now, personally, I just sold all of my SLP and AXS from the actual end of the season results, which is another reason why AXS is actually dropping. Not only is it following Ethereum's price action, but it's actually coming down because there's 300,000 people with AXS, and they're probably all just selling it along with their SLP. So that's just not a good thing in general. Now, this is all just short-term action. It doesn't really affect what's going on right now, but I have a feeling that SLP is going to drop back down to either 1 cent or even lower in the near future. Now, that is partially due to the breeding algorithm right now. Now, like we already established, not many people are actually breeding in Axie Infinity right now, and that's just because it's not profitable. If you're getting virgin Axies and they're breeding right now, it costs 65 US dollars or 0.02 Ethereum. Now, a second breed, which normally if you're a breeder, you're trying to get at least 3 breeds, so that way you're able to make a good amount of money. The second breed is going to be 85 or 0.026, and the third one 0.039 or $124. Now, this number is really crucial because after 2 breeds, you're like almost breaking even. The third one puts you above break even for the most part and gets you into that profit zone if you're just breeding meta Axies. So if we actually pull up the marketplace here, I have a couple meta Axies. If we're looking at the double bug with the Aqua, right now the Aquas are selling for about $100, while the bug Axie is actually trading for a little less at around $90, upwards to $100 to get the actual sandal, or if you want the scarab, then you can get it for $90. So total, it's going to cost you about $300 for a meta team. But if you're breeding it, look at the price here. If you're trying to breed a bug, or even if you go with back to that Aqua, 0.033. If we take a back look at the breeding, 0.039. It's costing more to actually breed the third one than you're going to make. So it's only profitable to breed the 2. And at that point, it's not worth it because you're not able to get enough Axies to actually pump it out, and your profits aren't that large. So this is a reason why we're seeing that huge drop off. But not only that, the floor Axies are actually insanely cheap right now. They're at its cheapest point they've been at in a very, very long time. They're selling for 0.006 Ethereum, or about $18. If you even go a little higher here, 0.006, but it's $20. Whatever it is, you can definitely get one for about $25 or less right now. Now, if we compare that price to where it was just in January 20th down here, floor Axies were 0.018 Ethereum, or around $60 if you wanted a floor Axie. Just a few weeks later, at the end of January, it was down to $30. And then if you move all the way to 2222 Tuesday, they were down to finally crossing below that 0.01. Now, the problem is now that nobody's able to really breed. People are just trying to sell out their Axies right now, which is driving that price lower and lower because, you want to be on the front page. You want to be able to buy those Axies, which is going to be a problem because right now the breeding costs are just way too high. So one of two things has to happen. Either people are going to increase the price of their Axies that are selling, which they don't have very much power to do so unless you have an exclusive Axie and it's very OP in the meta, maybe like a Godmac or something like that. But even better than that, a non-meta Axie that's just really good, you can drive up the price because not many people have it. But if you're trying to sell a bird Axie, like with the Blackmail and Egg Bomb, you're not going to have any luck and it's not even profitable to breed even virgins. So one of two things has to happen. Either those people are going to raise up the prices, which is very unlikely, or the price of AXS or SLP has to fall to allow the prices to be reasonable for breeders to actually be able to breed, which is a bad thing because the price obviously dropping down is not good for people. And with so much selling pressure coming from the 300,000 people that actually have AXS that they just got from the end of season rewards, we've seen a ton of selling pressure. And with the drop of the SLP that I'm predicting in the future, I made this handy dandy chart here. Again, just taking the numbers that we got from the Double Bug Aqua, I calculated it to be an average of about $300 to make this meta team, which even like a month ago, it was about $600 or $700, so it's dropped in half. Right now, though, the ROI, if you're playing the account, is 119 days or about 4 months, which is really not that bad. It's 8 months with just a scholar. And with the meta team, you should be able to get some AXS rewards. So with the AXS, we're expecting an ROI, if you were to play it, of about 2 months, and with a scholar at a 50% share, about 4 months, which is actually insanely good. Now, the only problem is, I don't think the price of SLP is going to stay at 2 cents once Origins is actually released. The SLP price may increase for momentarily, a few days, but I think in the long run, or at least the mid run, it's going to drop down. So if we exclusively drop it in half, it goes down to 1 cent, it's going to double up all the ROI times. So again, looking at this, if SLP was just to fall into half here, go back down to 1 cent, which is very realistic and is a very possible scenario. Again, your ROI without being able to get on the leaderboard, say you're just playing a normal team, that's going to double up in time. It's not going to take you 500 days to get it with a scholar, which is not good. But with the AXS price being where it is right now, which is more stable than what SLP is, your ROI actually doesn't change that much. It only goes up by a little bit. If you change it back from 130 days to 182 days, that's just adding, like another 2 months onto your ROI, which isn't that much. But now, here comes the worst scenario. With 300,000 people having AXS, a majority of them are going to be selling out their AXS, which could drop the price of AXS down. Now, realistically, the price of AXS is probably going to come down to about $40. That's where it's been stable anytime it's dropped down. This would be the best case scenario, again, with SLP dropping down to 1 and AXS dropping down to 40. Then your ROI still is pretty good at 218 days, which isn't that bad. And down here is with a 400 energy team, or 440 energy team. But if AXS was to drop down even further, again, the ROIs are just going to get longer and longer. But the good news is the prices of the actual Axies should get cheaper. So is this a good time to buy into Axie Infinity? Right now, I would say no. But if you are wanting to get into Axie Infinity, you should be looking at these floor Axies right now and checking the origin cards. Now, if you just click on a random Axie here and you find some origin cards that are like good, but they're not elite, that's the cards you want, because the cards that are broken are going to get nerfed right away. Once you start getting mass people entering into origins, testing out the game, you're not going to be able to sustain that card and it's going to get nerfed, and that would be bad. But if you find cards that are really, really powerful but aren't broken, that's where you can make your money. You could buy a couple floor Axies Again, this is that hypothetical buying point. You buy it for $20 and maybe it flips and you're able to sell it for $80 or $100. That's a pretty good deal. But other than that, that's very speculative. Again, we do have the cards, but we don't really know how all the cards work together. With that all being said, I have actually sold all of my SLP as well as AXS. I have it cashed out into USD coin, and I'm going to be holding and waiting for AXS to actually tank down to, around that $40 mark before I'm buying it and restaking it into the game. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions though on what you're doing and the future of Axie Infinity. Do you think it's a positive one, or do you think it is going to the toilet? Let me know. I'll see y'all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.